are live for the Netdata Office Hours episode 6. As usual, we are waiting a couple of minutes for people to join. We usually start like 5 minutes into the hour, so stay tuned and we'll be with you soon. And by the way, dropping the slide deck on the chat so you can follow it. So we see some more people joining the stream. As usual, we are waiting a couple of more minutes to see if all people that want to attend join. So more or less in about 5 minutes or something, we'll start the stream. So see you soon. I think we probably can kick this one off. It seems the number is quite stable in terms of attendees, so anybody else joining can catch up. So we shared the slide deck on the chat. So if you want to follow at your leisure, feel free to open this. This is our first episode back from holiday season, so nice to be back. Let's go straight to the presentation. Let me share my screen. We have some cool stuff for you to see and to follow. So the title for today is the mobile app teaser and eBPF function. So these are the two main topics for today, but we have a couple more things in the agenda for you to follow. So going to the agenda. This is sorry. The introduction is, as we said, it's those two main topics. We'll have see the spotlight topics next, and then as usual, we have this open slot for questions or feedback anybody has. And in the end, we close with some questions or feedback that we saw on the community channels that could be meaningful or interesting for anybody to know about and to be aware. So into the spotlight, as we mentioned, we have new functions to speak about, mainly around eBPF functions. Then we'll see the anomaly rate by type, a new chart added on the main dashboard for that data that you'll be able to see some anomaly related metrics and chart. And then we'll end up with the mobile app, mobile notifications app as a kind of a teaser for you to know what's coming up ahead. And we are really closing the last steps of QA and the final tweaks. So hopefully this will be out soon for you to be able to have it at your ends. Um, Without further ado, jumping straight ahead to the functions. These functions are mainly aiming to increase your troubleshooting capabilities. So, as you know, Netdata has a lot of metrics, a lot of charts, a lot of alerts, and we are steadily now increasing or enhancing the current functions available. We started with processes, and now we are adding two, at least now are still in PR. They are under review and to become available soon. The first one we have is the eBPF sockets. So with this function, you're going to be able to monitor open sockets per PID. So you will be able to see the origin, the destination IP, the ports, the protocol in place. So you'll be able to understand what kind of communications are going out and in on your sockets. And we'll see this as a live demo at the end. So hopefully this also will be, this is exciting for us, and hopefully this will be exciting and interesting for you to have at your ends. Um, the next one is around eBPF threads. This is merged. This is already available on the master branch on Netdata, but we haven't yet made it available to public. We are still exploring the best UX to surface these to users, because what you'll be able to have here is means to enable or disable some specific eBPF threads where you can pinpoint specific metrics that you want to see collected. So you might want to see file related charts and metrics. You might want to see process related metrics. Some of them are running by default, which are those that are not very resource intensive, let's say. But some of them, since they are resource intensive, we want to allow you to, with some clicks on the UI, to be able to enable them for 5 minutes, 3 minutes. You choose the time you want them to run. And after you complete your troubleshooting and analysis, you can disable them, or of course, let the time expire and they will disable by themselves. So as I mentioned, this is still very early stages. We are completing the full user experience and user journey on this. But again, hopefully this will also be a very, very cool tool you're going to have on that data to be able to troubleshoot, let's say, in deeper detail what you see on your systems. I'll make some pauses just to see if there's any questions or any feedback. If there's nothing, we can continue to the next one. The next one is one that is already released. So we already made this announcement on the last release meetup. But I think on Office Hours, this is kind of the first time we are speaking about it being available already. So the systemd journal is our kind of a initial approach to try to bring some logs into internet data. And we started with the systemd journal logs. And you'll be able to, of course, see this based on some time frame. you can select the period you want to collect the logs from, and the queries or the data will come based on that selection. And of course, you still have the filters or the facets you can use to drill down and slice the logs you want to focus on. It could be cron logs, systemd, so you are able to kind of navigate through the logs just with the Netdata Cloud UI. No need to go to the terminal to check what's on your system. So as I mentioned, this is initial step into logs. Hopefully soon we'll bring more capabilities in terms of this kind of log display on Netdata. And the last one, this again is a function that is also merged into master, but we haven't made it available yet to the users. We are still in the process of dog fooding this. We want to make sure this is a easy function to understand, and the content that we display is not going to overwhelm the user. So this one is about streaming. If you have streaming enabled on some of your nodes, with this function, we allow you to get in real time the statistics and how the status, let's say, of these connections are happening between your nodes. So you're going to see in and out details, uptime. If the nodes are already is still live, the connection is live at the moment, is a old connection, it's archived, you will be able to understand the number of metrics being transmitted between the nodes. And then, of course, also the number of contexts, because it's basically the charts that you see. So I think this is also going to be a very powerful function, because as you see on the UI, you're going to be able to understand and troubleshoot what's happening between your streaming and replication across your nodes without the need to go to logs or to the nodes themselves to understand what's happening. Let me probably quickly, as I mentioned, try to demo some of this, so you can see this is not just some screenshots. So let's start with the eBPF socket. So this is the function that I spoke first, where you can see the open sockets. You can filter them by the PID. So if you want to see for specific PID, what is the process name, what is the origin of the connection, is outgoing, incoming, what is the destination IP, the destination port. And you can also see, for example, besides the process name, as I mentioned, you can see the protocol, if it's TCP, UDP. So a lot of, and then a number of, I think it's the last column, yeah, a number of total connections or processes using that that IP, not the port, because each one will have a different port, but you see the number of connections across that protocol, and you can see here a total of connections there. So you can also understand if there's a kind of overhead of connections open on a given kind of a socket or let's say protocol that is being used.
I have a question on this. I was going to save them, but I might as well ask when you're looking. Is this, so this data is just streamed, it's not stored in the agent as such, is it? Or how do I think about that?
We are collecting this in real time, so it's not stored. We are asking at the moment what is happening on the agent. So all of these functions are in real time. The one that we query some past data, and if you see here, this doesn't allow you to click anything. So it's the process, or sorry, the BPF, sorry, the systemd journal is the one you can query past data. All the other ones are kind of at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so some functions you will be able where they make sense, and some it doesn't because it's kind of real time. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in this case this should be completely disabled, so probably it's a tweak we need to fine tune. But I'm not able to select anything. But it should be shown as disabled. If you go to processes, it should be another one that this is not clickable. So it's just a UI thing. You cannot click it, so it should be disabled. Yeah. So if there's nothing on the sockets, besides, of course, what Andy made as a very, very pertinent question, we can just quickly check the eBPF threads, because as I mentioned, this is very, very early stages for this one. We just see currently the possible threads that you have. So this is monitoring Linux page cache. This is monitoring directory cache, files open and closed. And some of these you'll be saying them as running, because by default, the BPF collector starts with these collectors running. but some of them where you're going to see information about disks or mount points actually is running, but there's some of them that are stopped because they're, as I mentioned, they are resource intensive. So you should be enabling and disabling them as per need, kind of on demand. Uh, this is not yet possible. The UI is not ready for that. So just sharing that this is coming up soon, and as soon as we fine tune the UX, it will be available to you.
So when you enable them, will you see different stuff depending on which one you enable, or how is that sort of still thinking
Yeah,
about that?
each thread will have corresponding metrics and charts that will be available, of course, on the overview dashboard. But the best journey for the user is not to, okay, I enable the thread here. He needs to go to the overview to see the charts. We want to try to kind of nail down everything in this flow of activating the function and getting the results immediately for them to see. So it could mean new metrics available on the apps plugin charts or the user charts. So there's a couple of new metrics and charts that will pop up depending on the thread that you activate.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
And of course, the overview will still work as an overview. So if the chart at that point in time was showing some metrics and some data, it will still show there. So when you're running, for example, metric correlations or anomaly advisor across all the charts, if there are charts across these threads that were enabled, they will be also part of the analysis, let's say, for this. Of course, we need to be considering that there's little data to train about because this was only activated for a short period of time. So yeah, there's probably that kind of a catch point that it will probably not sure if it will be really useful, let's say anomaly advisor maybe. But yeah, they will be
Yeah,
there.
that's kind of what I'm thinking about a little bit as well, as to like if there's way to have snapshots of these as samples over time, and then you could kind of compare when you turn it on live, you could compare it to the sample and see if there's any differences and stuff like that. But it's that's probably something we could build later, like that makes sense.
Yeah, these kind of things that are resource heavy, as you said, we could be running some snapshots and use those as a training basis for the models. Yeah, good. We can probably discuss this internally and make some case for this. Yeah. So eBPF threads, that's it. The next one that I mentioned, let me probably switch to another space. It was the system log. Sorry, functions. Let me put a bit more time period. So system journal. It's the one that I mentioned. You can select the time frame, so you can choose how long you want to see the logs. As I mentioned, so here you can see the system.
And Costa's desktop, nice.
Yeah, this is Costa's desktop. I'm using this because the streaming, since it's hidden, Costa has already a node where this is enabled in terms of compilation. So I'm just kind of pigging back on this available one. Yeah. So in this one, you can see the syslog identifier. So what is the log related to? Is it the kernel? Is the system D? So you can filter out all of this information. You can filter by UID or by GUID. So the same way as you have filters on processes, as you have filters on the eBPF sockets, systemd journal works like that, and you can slice your logs and kind of navigate and try to understand if there's any detail or any information that is useful for your troubleshooting journey. So, and this one, as I mentioned, is already live, so you should be able to see it on your nodes and on your Netdata space. Yeah. And the last one is the one about streaming. Yeah. So as I mentioned, this one is also one of those that is not live. And here we also checking Costa's desktop, where he has a lot of replication and streaming configuration. So as I mentioned, there's a kind of an in status and out status, so to say, if this is live connections or archived ones. So I'm just, for example, focusing on live ones on in and out. And the information that you can see is the number of metrics that are on a given node. So this is the node itself. We are checking running the function on Costa desktop, and this is the node for Costa desktop. So it's the node instance of himself. You can see the number of metrics that this toast is having, the number of contexts. And then you can see from other nodes what also the number of metrics that each node is having. So these are Raspberry Pis with around 4.5K metrics. And again, the number of contexts, and you see the status, and there's the time in age of the connection. So how long are these nodes connected to the main one? And yeah, and then some other stats around it in terms of out ages, and there's some tweaks, of course, we still need to do on the UI. So as I mentioned, this is still on dog fooding. But yeah, hopefully this will allow you to, on the UI, see the exact status of your replication configurations across nodes and be able to troubleshoot if something is down or if something is off, or if you're missing some node, let's say, in terms of your configuration. So I think this is the last thing on the function. So going back to the presentation, and if there are no questions, we probably can pass on the mic to Andy. So it's going to be anomaly rate by type.
Cool. Yeah, so this is a quick one, a kind of small incremental improvement. So we've added a breakdown line of the anomaly rates basically into the anomaly detection section. So previously we have you can kind of see it on the screen there, but I'll do a demo in a sec. Previously we still have the overall node anomaly rate line, which tells you kind of across all your nodes that you're looking at the moment, what's the percentage of anomalous metrics second by second. And what we've done below now is we've added a new chart, which is the type anomaly rate chart. And so what this does is this does an anomaly rate across per type, basically. And type is a special thing in Netdata. Type is what's used as part of the metadata to determine where within the menu on the right hand side charts actually exist. So it's kind of like a proxy for, sort of physical stuff like disks, network, memory, RAM, but generally it's one of the grouping mechanisms for the charts. So the idea is it can be a useful first approximation as to like what's driving the increase in the anomaly rate under the hood. Now, obviously, you can, if you want the real answer, you can use the anomalies tab, or you can press the anomaly rate percentage button. This is just like another easy way to quickly expose kind of what's one step beneath the anomaly rate line. Longer term, we also want to add versions of this that has you an anomaly rate per user, an anomaly rate per app, and because that would then help you see what sort of what actual things are driving the anomaly rate in some sense, like what in terms of like the software or the users, as opposed to by type, which is a bit more kind of physical. So that's on the roadmap next, is to try and add anomaly rates by type or by user and by app as well. And that's pretty much the one last thing here as well is a little bit of the last bullet point is that we've also just recently we have a PR to enable an anomaly rate based alert by default. So there's a PR there that's kind of coming soon, and there's a blog post. There's a blog post for this that's linked at the bottom of the slide, and there's also a blog post for the anomaly rate alert that we've just merged there into Nightly's today. So if you check out the blog, you'll see a quick small blog explaining that. So I'll just share my screen and just show you like a quick example as what this actually means, because it's a bit easier to look at. I'm in our the machine learning demo room here, and so I just kind of was looking at earlier on today. I saw this spike in the anomaly rate across the 5 demo nodes here, and so you can see here, like, it went up to about 6%, pretty significant across all of them. But before we just had this one green line, and you can do, obviously you can group by node and see, okay, well, what nodes does this relate to? And I can see here actually it's mostly probably the ML demo stable node is the one that's mostly had the jump, although they all kind of had the jump at the same time, but it was mostly this one. But also and then you were kind of from there you would press the anomaly rate button or the anomalies tab. But the idea with the anomaly rate type chart is just below this line now. You can kind of see what it's composed of, basically. So if I kind of hover over, I can see here, for instance, that it's it's mostly disk stuff. So like disk backlog and disk IO time, they're two different types of charts within that data. And so generally 9 times out of 10, you can kind of tell from reading them that there is a little bit of you have to kind of know where they are and familiarity. But because this is disk stuff here, I can, like, if I just highlight this area just so we know what we're looking at. And I can see, okay, obviously the first one is disk backlog and disk IO time. So obviously I'll just go straight to disks. And it's kind of just telling me there's something in here. So in this case, I can see, sure enough, the disk.io has some slight anomalies, and you can't see them that strong here in the anomaly ribbon because there's 5 nodes here, and it's probably only on the one node that this is active on. But you can still sort of see overall when you look at the aggregate, you can see straight away, oh yeah, okay, there's that looks kind of anomalous in terms of disk activity. And likewise, I think the other one was backlog, which I know the backlog stuff I think is in the utilization here. So you can see disk backlog chart, and you can see, yeah, okay, there's a little bit of a spike there and a bit of an anomaly. So it's just kind of another quick way to quickly eyeball, eyeball some sort of change in the anomaly rates, and then quickly decide for yourself, okay, what is it? Do I care? Should I, what should I do next, basically? And it's a little quick way. And eventually, we want to add kind of a couple more charts in here that give you to it by application would be useful as well, because maybe you can see in this case it's pretty obvious it was this stress app. I think this is one of my chaos attack cron jobs that comes to life and uses the stress app. So if we had that if we had the anomaly rates by application, it would be obvious. In this case, he'd be like, oh, stress came and did something. And likewise for users as well. That's next. It's just that's it. To do that implement this in an efficient way is a little bit tricky. So we have to be a bit more careful about it. I don't know why that's not there. No, it's missing at the moment. It might have. This was maybe from earlier this morning, so it might have actually might have gone. But yeah, no, that's quick. That's pretty much the quick demo there. Just as another small little kind of incremental improvement for some of the ML stuff. And I'll stop sharing.
Cool stuff, Andy. Thanks for sharing. Let me probably get back to the presentation. So the last topic that we have is the mobile notifications app. As I mentioned, this is currently on the last stages of QA and fine-tuning some of the stuff. This is a new personalized notification integration. So it's like your email. It's specific to your user, to yourself. You need to log in with the app, with the QR code, and activate the app. With the app, you're going to be able to get a glimpse, of course, of all the notifications across the spaces that you are at, and then you can filter and slice them per the space, per war room, per node, and you can just kind of see what's happening across your infra. You will be able to personalize some things on the app. So, what is the relevant priority for a given type of notification or alert? If you want to change the banner view you have, if you want to put vibration on some kind of a warning notifications or clear notifications, not have a kind of a ring thing to it. And we also allow the user to silence notifications for a space or multiple spaces during a period of time. So you want to, you're going to be doing some maintenance, so you don't want to be disturbed on your mobile. You can just silence the entire space and you won't be disturbed. In terms of quick kind of a screenshot, this is the look and feel of the app. So the login page, then the notifications we have, and then the sample of when you open a notification, the chart that you have. The dogs, yeah, they are kind of the neighbor dogs are.
They've been waiting for the mobile app all talk, have they?
It seems like that. So to show this, we have a short video, so probably you can just kind of see the feeling of this. So when you load the app, you immediately see the spaces you have. You can, of course, filter and select the space you want. You see which ones have notifications. You have also the notification on top. Then you can filter by the notification of the alert that you received, and you want to filter across all the alerts with that name. Yeah, this is kind of the feeling of navigating through it. What? So I think next you're going to see the loading of a notification. So the chart that we saw on the screenshot. So this is specific for this alert. Basically, kind of the same view you have on the Netdata app on the browser. You can filter by or select war rooms to see specific war rooms, sort them by new, old, the priority of them. Yeah, and then you see that starts sorting on the result of the notifications.
Question on this, Hugo.
Mm-hmm.
Will this be for will this be for all, like all users on free tiers, or is it on paid only, or what's the approach there?
Good question. At the moment, this mobile app is available only on paid plans. So for you to be able to see the plans on the mobile app, you'll need to have one of them at least in a paid version. If you have installed the application but don't have a paid plan, it will show as grayed out. So you're not able to interact with it. Yeah.
Cool.
So in terms of filtering, it's a bit also like what you have on the active alerts tab on the data app. Filter by component, by class, by type, and yeah, you can then of course interact with the filters to remove them and just yeah, easily kind of filter the information you want to see. And of course, you have the indication of the filters applied on top for you to know what's there. And here you're seeing the badge on top of the new notification. So you see the new notifications across all spaces. So if you have multiple spaces on this place, you're going to see across all of them. And I think the next step is about how you can silence your space. So you can silence all the spaces that you have this enabled for. So these are kind of paid spaces. And you can silence for a given period of time. So I just want to silence from now to a certain point in time, or even if you want to silence them forever, you can silence it forever.
Is this the same as the silencing rules in the app itself, or is this a mobile specific thing?
It's specifically tied to those silencing rules. So if you define a silencing here and you go to the app on cloud, you're going to see on the silencing rules that there's a silence rule created by the mobile app, and it's a personal rule because it's applied only to you, not to everybody on the space. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And this is the part, as we saw, some kind of priority settings, the retention of notifications that you want to have on the mobile app, and of course, like switching from the date theme to night theme, you're able to do that also on the app. Yeah, that should be the last part. Yeah, this is just the look and feel of the dark theme. So yeah, Satya is clarifying that when you open a notification, it will be marked as read, but of course you can then mark it as unread to be kept as still as for you to check it later. So in terms of demos, that's demos and kind of spotlight things. That's it for today. So just giving a couple of minutes or seconds to see if anybody has any question or any feedback that you would like to give. Okay, seems for
Not
now.
for me. I've kind of asked my questions as we've gone.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for keeping this interesting. And in terms of community, this last kind of week, there's not many things to share. There's a couple of open threads we are still pursuing with users and trying to help them out. So I have only two topics to highlight here. So there was a report about Signet CPU resources on Alma 8 with the GoD login plugin. So this collector was the issue and was using a full CPU core, let's say, on this. And this was proven in some sample VMs with Debian 12 and Alma 8 that this was not happening. So it seems to be some specific bug or problem related to the system D version on this specific version. So In this case, the user just disabled the login D collector, and everything was back to normal in terms of CPU consumption. So that was kind of the issue behind it. And another one is about Netdata using another percent of one core with a nice process. So after the Netdata restart, 30 minutes after that, Netdata was using a full core of a CPU. And this was linked to the cleanup process. So the team identified that it was needed to reduce the workload during the cleanup process, implementing some indexes and dividing a bit more the load in terms of how this is processed. So after this PR was merged, this was kind of a fixed, and yeah, this is no longer a issue. So I think these for now are the two main things, and yeah, this is the last slide for today. So if there's nothing else, we'll see you on the next office hours. There's a couple of cool stuff we are working on that we'll for sure would like to share with you, and we'll announce and make some teasers, of course, for you to know what's coming up ahead. But stay tuned because for sure there's more cool stuff coming up for you. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.